Every mistake I'm about to share, I made it. And if I can help you avoid these mistakes, then that is the entire purpose of this platform. Welcome back to the Art of Virtual Assisting. My name is Stephanie Lopepe, your host and the founder of Virtually Steph. And this episode is exciting because, wow, these mistakes, they gave me sleepless night, and I'm hoping you can avoid making these mistakes. So today's episode is about the biggest mistakes new virtual assistants make. All right. So I want you to just analyze these mistakes, write it down, because if you don't figure out a way to work through them, your virtual assistant journey is going to be shaky and it's going to take longer than it needs to take. All right. So the first mistake is undervaluing yourself. Guys, I have nightmares of where I undervalued what I bring to the table, right? So the first thing that I undervalued was my skills. Now imagine I have over 7 years corporate experience in admin. However, when I started working with clients as a freelancer, I was completely scared and I started questioning my skills, my expertise and stuff like that. And that's the mistakes I need you to not make as an aspiring or established virtual assistant. You've got the proof of concept. You know what you're doing. So you need to stand firm in the belief that you belong where you are right now, right? And then another thing that I undervalued was pricing. Pricing is a very tricky subject, and I'm still trying to navigate that, right? Because what can you really put to price to the skills that you bring to the table, right? But I struggled with pricing. And when I started Virtually Steph, I would undercharge myself and overdeliver. And I thought that that's a good thing because I'm bringing value. So the client will see what I bring to the table. The only issue with that is that a lot of the clients took advantage of that, right? Because they can tell that you're underpricing and they're hoping that you don't see your own light or you don't see your own value. And that's an issue. So my encouragement is that don't undervalue your pricing. Put in the price. And if somebody can't afford it, you can decide whether or not you want to build a long-term relationship. So you may discount it, or alternatively, you just keep it moving forward, right? Undervaluing yourself can be a very costly thing, right? It will cost you in your pricing. It will cost you in aiming for the stars. It will cost you in your skills and your expertise. So don't do that. That's the first mistakes that new virtual assistants do, is undervaluing themselves. The second mistakes we make as new virtual assistants is not having boundaries. Guys, oh my word, I remember, and I believe that me not having boundaries when I started 3 years ago came from the experience of the corporate space, right? In my old job, we used to need to be accessible all the time. Like you couldn't switch off your phone. If a call was made, you had to answer. If a text was made, you had to acknowledge. Whatever it is, right? That made me not have boundaries with my clients when I first started, right? My clients would just have access to me anytime. I remember I would be like, no, I won't take a meeting at night, then I'll take the meeting at night. Or I won't work on the weekends, then I'll work on the weekend. Or I won't do it, then I will do it. Because I generally lacked boundaries. I had to learn that fast, right? So lacking boundary looks like where you are working late or you are accessible to your clients all the time. You are an independent contractor. There should be a time where you let your client know, hey, I have other commitments during this time, so I'm not accessible here. For me, I even put it on my website, which I don't follow, but I just put it there, just a reminder. That I'm accessible from 10 a.m. up to 3 p.m. I know that's not true, but I just put it there, right? So you can have that system where you put certain times where clients know they have access to you during this time. Also, you let clients know that expect a 24 hours response. Just because you send a message now does not mean it needs to be responded right now, right? Or at least acknowledge that message, right? Let clients know you don't work on weekends. That's a boundary because you want to spend time with your family. We are virtual assistant because we want something. We are creating freedom of time, freedom of movement. Now imagine if you're accessible all the time. That doesn't make sense, right? Another boundary is it, I don't know how you would have a relationship with your clients. My clients, a lot of them became friends, right? I remember during my birthday, June, I had invited one of my clients to my birthday dinner because I saw that relationship beyond them just being a client. They are an important person in my life, right? The lines can be blurred between professionalism and personal, but don't blur that line too much, right? There still needs to be a point where this is work, this is personal, right? And that it helps you structure your day, right? Then clients know that the time that they're taking from you is a work time, they'll pay for it. Anything outside of that can be social. But if the lines is blurred, it's very tricky. Now, if you invoice a client, be like, hey, this was overtime, then the client says, no, but we're catching up though. I was just asking this, because you have blurred the line. Keep it professional, keep all communication in writing so that you have paper trail, whatever it is, right? A second thing is this is for if you are a service provider who's maybe a graphics designer. You need to have boundaries maybe in the number of changes that a client would want from you, right? So graphic designers are always designing whatever it is, right? If you don't create boundaries with your client, you would always work on that artwork to Jesus come. All right. So you can let your client know there's a limit of changes 50 times. Anything after the third change is a page thing, right? Because it's no longer covered. You're taking away time from other tasks you're meant to complete or other deadlines that they've given you, right? So it becomes more workload for you. So those are part of creating boundaries. Number 3 mistakes is being afraid to niche down. So this is when you gotta decide, are you gonna remain a generalist or you're gonna become a specialist, right? When you're afraid to niche down, you are limiting how much money you can make. You are limiting with the type of clients you can work with. To work with high level clients, established businesses, you need to specialize in something. You need to be known for something, right? But when you're afraid for that to happen, you think, if I specialize, I'm going to lose out on this one. No, you're not going to lose out on anything because journalists are not making as much money as they could make if they become specialists, right? So don't be afraid to be like, hey, maybe you started in admin and your specialty becomes project management. There you can make real money. Maybe you started in graphic designing and your specialist will become your multimedia specialist, right? So you kind of figure out what is happening, right? Don't be afraid to decide the type of clients you want to work with, the type of business you want to do. That will definitely help you make more money, right? That is the whole goal. We want to make money. We don't want to stay in this loophole. We want to maybe have an agency. We want to work with established businesses. In order for that to happen, you eventually need to be known for something, right? And the fourth mistake that we are making is poor communication. Because you are working remotely, the clients don't see you in person. You need your level of communication needs to be excellent. You need to always provide feedback. You need to always make sure the client knows what you are doing. You need to make sure that if you are running behind deadline or you're not able to meet a deadline, you need to let the client know in advance, hey, there's a deadline that is meant to be in 2 days. Unfortunately, I won't be able to meet that deadline. And then your guys restructure that, right? And when you're in constant communication, you get to refine your service offering. You get to refine your relationship with the client, right? Because then the clients are, oh, okay, this person is taking their job serious, right? And then you take it from there. Poor communication is not good. It's a huge mistake. And some clients, when you have poor communication, they'll let you go and find somebody else because they're not seeing you all the time. They need reassurance, right? So your communication in writing, whether it's on email, whether it's on Substack, whether it's ClickUp, Notion, whatever it is, needs to be good. Okay? And the last mistake we're going to address is not tracking your work, right? You need to be able to track your work, not just because your client needs feedback, but you need to be able to have like a report for, like, if you're working with a particular kind, particular industry, when you're tracking your work, you can be able to know, okay, I've improved here. This is the driven result from the work that I've done. And it also helps you track your wins. And when you track your wins, it will help you make sure that your portfolio has substance. It will help you like gain confidence, and it also help you upskill. You're not able to do that if you're not tracking your work. So my encouragement is, whatever it is, whatever your specialty, whichever client you're working with, have a folder, have a file, have a book, have a journal where you are tracking what you're doing, where you're tracking your work, you're tracking the results. It will help you move faster in this industry. Okay. So, as we are concluding our discussion today on the mistakes that new virtual assistants make, we are going to answer frequently asked questions in our insight segment. So, today's question is, how do I prevent burnout as a virtual assistant? Woo! Oh my word. Hey. If I had this platform last year, I would have done an episode of how I offboarded more than 3 clients last year. I think it was end of last year. I was burnt out. What? I was like, I can't kill myself for this. No, 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 no. I literally was like, no, I can't do this. Why? Because I like boundaries. I wanted to be everything for everyone. I was taking on more work than I could handle. And if honestly, a lot of those clients were underpaying me, and I was over delivering. And it just created a chaos space for me. I remember one time I was so upset where I had a client's work at my best friend's wedding, right? And we had things to do and stuff like that. And I had to like take a few minutes to be on my computer. And I was like, why am I doing this? And literally I had to tell the clients, hey, unfortunately, I don't have any more capacity to keep you on as a client, and had to offboard them. And that December, I believe I offboarded 3 clients. And I also used that time to refine the type of clients I want to work with, right? So how you prevent burnout as a virtual assistant is that you need to do what we discussed earlier. You need to have structure. Like you are also your own business, right? You're your own client. You need to structure your things. You need to structure your day. There's some days where you only deal with admin. There's some days you don't take any calls. There's some days where you just focus on brainstorming. Whatever it is, you need to structure your day so that you don't feel like you are working 24/7. And if you're being honest, if you are starting out, you will get a bit of burnout because you're putting in the hours, you're putting in your what they say, the 10,000 hours, right, as a virtual assistant. So you will push through as you start. But as you getting your feet wet, or as you are, like getting into it, right, you can slow down a little bit. You can have a bit of structure, etc., etc. So it's like a push and pull. You really never know. But we are becoming virtual assistants because we want to be able to control our time. We want to be able to not be accessible to everybody 24/7. So just structure your day. Have boundaries, guys. We spoke about this earlier. Have boundaries. Say, I'm not accessible at this time. Say, I'm not going to work with this type of clients. And, a way to avoid burnout is to increase your rates. Increase that money. Because why are you still, your rates are still here and your work is up there? Your rates need to reflect the work that you're bringing for your clients. So yeah, increase it. And once you increase it, you start to attract like a different caliber of clients. Established clients understand that they don't need to nag you every day for feedback. They need to trust you because you are the expert. So increase your rates. You won't have burnout because the type of clients that you're working with will give you room to do your job. So yeah, I hope today's episode was helpful. And for all the aspiring virtual assistant, you got this. You got this. It can be an industry, but it's very low entry, and you are capable of aiming for the stars, of achieving things beyond your wildest imagination. The type of clients that I'm working today, I never thought I would 3 years ago. So my encouragement is take note of these mistakes. Make sure you note them and you put systems in place where you can do your best to avoid these mistakes. And even if you do make the mistakes, you can always get up and move forward. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what more topics you'd like to be discussed. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.